Good morning. It is 8:45. Today I'm doing a bus tour around the island. It starts at 9:30 and ends at like 5:30. It's super short. I mean, the island's really small, but it was $30, so super cheap. And it gives me a good ride and tour around the island. Plus, we get to swim, have a bathing suit underneath. It's gonna be a great day. Just grabbed breakfast and now I'm heading to the stop where they're gonna pick me up. And hopefully today is a great day. It is my last day in Naxos. I only technically have 3 days here. The tour started with a bus journey up to the Temple of Demeter, where we learned a couple interesting facts about Naxos. One, it is the biggest island of all the Cycladic islands, and is also the most fertile in this region. And outside of tourism, farming is the next biggest source of revenue for a lot of the residents. And our first stop of the day is the Temple of Demeter, which is as old as 530 BCE, and it's suggested that it's older than some, if not most, of the ancient sites in mainland Greece. It was super windy up here, so I wasn't able to film a lot of talking points. But this site is old, and it still amazes me that you can walk and touch this kind of old history. And while some of it is still standing, all the pieces that have fallen off or aren't safe to be in outdoor conditions are actually below the temple in this little museum that they have. It's super windy up here, especially up at the temple. But they have the Temple of Demeter, and then they also have a museum with all the pieces that have kind of fallen off and can't stand on their own anymore. The temple is so crazy old, like, to be honest, I can't believe some of it's still standing. And it was completely made of marble and used to resemble kind of like a house. And while the temple is still standing, it was converted into a church at some point and then resalvaged back to the Temple of Demeter. Also, the island in general is kind of cool. It's technically not the smallest or Greek islands. I actually think it's one of the biggest in the Greek island chain. And once you leave the coast, it's all hills and mountains and little villages. The ride to where we are right now has just been awesome. It's been a windy road through the mountains and hills, and we got to see a bunch of old buildings. So one of my favorite parts about this tour is all the tiny villages we got to go through, and some we even got to visit. At this island in particular, there was a clay craftsman who made not only pottery but also statues and other items made of clay. There was also an old olive oil factory here. While no longer in use, they still had the option to buy olive oil products made and produced elsewhere on the island.
Olive oil was used for medical reasons, especially for the treatment of skin conditions and also for cosmetic reasons.
Olive oil is a big part of Greek history in general, and they are the third largest producer of olive oil in the world. Currently in this little village, we just went to a pottery maker and an olive oil maker, and now we're in this village. And we could either go to the distillery or we can walk around. I chose to walk around. We have a lot of cool soaps and earrings and pottery for sale in this village. It's a tiny village, but tourism keeps them alive. Besides tourism on this island, farming is the next biggest thing. But for these Greek islands, tourism brings a lot of the income and keeps a lot of the businesses running. So I don't feel as bad spending a little extra money for things I could buy elsewhere, because I know that a lot of these businesses are family owned and local. The rest of the day consists of a lot of driving through more Naxos' villages and towns. We stopped in one just to grab coffee, or in my case, some apple pie. This apple pie was very delicious and quite large. The last village we stopped in for the day was where we got lunch and also where we got to take a dip in the ocean. This place has some of the bluest water I've ever seen. While I was having lunch, I met the owner's dog, and one thing I love about these small local cafes and restaurants is how homey they feel. And I just want to apologize for the lack of talking bits in this vlog. It was very windy, and by the end of the day, I was quite exhausted.